The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
Let's be perfectly honest about one thing. It is winter time, and I use the word winter with very liberal air quotes. It's wintertime in Florida, which means that it is beer festival season, because now is the time that you do good beer festivals, because you're not melting. Because, yeah, that's just nuts. It's another episode of the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author. And I have a couple of beer festivals that I look forward to. Actually, my entire family looks forward to every single year because they're just absolutely fantastic. Two of those beer festivals are coming up in November 18th. We have the return of the North Miami Brew Fest, which is sponsored and put on and created by the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at Florida International University. I love that beer festival. Another one, which is brand new, but I'm super, super excited, is Stormhouse Brewing, our friends in North Palm Beach, Florida. They are doing a holiday beer festival and market on December 10th, which is a Sunday. And that is going to be a great time to have people not only selling stuff. So if you need those last minute gifts, that's going to be a great time to do it. But there's also a ton of breweries that are going to be there as well. I will be at both of those. I may actually be recording live at both of those, which is awesome. Another beer festival, which I love every single year and has passed, is the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival. That one is always fantastic. That is held at Summer Crush Winery, which is located in Fort Pierce. And that is a very small exclusive one because it's put on by the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail, which celebrates and is sponsored by the three counties that are on the Treasure Coast. That would be Martin County, then above that is St. Lucie County, and at the very top is Indian River County. We're going to go back to the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival here in a few minutes, but I do want to bring in a little bit of audio from a beer festival out in Denver. The big one, that is the Great American Beer Festival that is held every single year in Denver, Colorado. Breweries from all across the country managed to make it there. And one of the breweries is Big Bear in Coral Springs, whose assistant brewer is our very own producer, Steve. Yay. So he actually went out to Denver with the recording equipment and got some really good interviews with a few people from around Florida. So you're going to be hearing some audio from a friend of the podcast. He's been on many times before. In fact, not only did we have a great 2-part episode with Pete Anderson from Pareidolia Brewing, but he was also on the podcast from the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival last year. So if you actually listen to the 2022 episode, you'll hear him talk about his role in creating the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail. But he's in Denver, and we spoke to him about all sorts of Denver things, along with Ryan Freeman from Dade City Brew House in Dade City on the Gulf Coast of Florida, about an hour and a half or so north of Tampa. And then Steve Dornblaser from NOBO Brewing, and we have had NOBO Brewing on the podcast more than once. Not only did we visit them in Boynton Beach and get them on the podcast, but we actually recorded them. Actually, I think it was Steve's brother, Tim, that we recorded at Rocky Water Brewfest in Eau Gallie a couple of years ago, and you can listen to that episode as well. So live from the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, we have Pete from Pareidolia Brewing, Ryan from Dade City, and Steve from NOBO Brewing. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Pete Anderson with Pareidolia Brewing Company out of Sebastian, Florida. We are here at Great American Beer Festival in Denver 2023. We have been coming to this event for quite a few years, and the enthusiasm and the quality of the beers just seems to be growing every year. So thank you, Florida Beer Blog, for showing up and representing, and we really appreciate everybody here, the Denver hospitality, the Brewers Association, all the volunteers. Thank you guys for putting on a wonderful event. Cheers.
Hey, this is Ryan Freeman, Freeman, from Dade City Brew House, out of Dade City, Florida. Here at GABF, great. All the beers get in me. I'm already slurring my words. We're at Section 12, and we're stoked to be here, pouring 4 of our beers so far. Nightmare Dressed Like a Daydream has been our best beer. It's our coffee blonde. And so far, me and my employees have enjoyed the hell out of it. We've been able to go around, check out a bunch of breweries we haven't been able to go to, and getting a lot of great feedback from everyone here. Benefits of this kind of stuff is you have a bunch of people in different areas who don't get a chance to see your brewery, and when they can come up and talk to you and do a quick little interaction, you get to actually learn about what people all over the country think about your beer. So it's genuinely helpful, and we love doing it.
It's Steve Dornblaser with NOBO Brewing Company, and that's Dornblaser, and we're here at GABF for this Saturday afternoon session. Been a great event so far. To be honest, I'm excited. We got the longest line in our row here. We brought a couple different beers today. We brought our Jalapeno Honey Blonde, French Vanilla Coffee Porter, our Fight the Sour Blueberry Cobbler, which is the brother of Blackberry Cobbler, which won a bronze medal last year at GABF, our Key Lime Like a Lager, which is a Kolsch, and our barrel-aged Second Breakfast, which was aged in a Jim Beam barrel for 14-plus months, and then it brings out the French toast, cinnamon roll flavors. And then we also brought, as a backup, a barrel-aged cinnamon roll, which is a Willet barrel-aged stout. That was actually aged almost 24 months in a barrel with all the cinnamon, brown sugar, all those beautiful flavors. Been a great event so far. We're excited to see what the Saturday evening session brings. That's always a crazy one. But we're happy to be here, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from the crowd. So Great American Beer Fest, one of the best trips that I love to do every year. I love coming to this competition, this beer fest. The reaction from the crowd is second to none. You've got all types of beer drinkers here from all walks of life. It's been a great reaction from everybody. For the Southeast region, I think we've kept the longest line consistently through the fest with a broad range of beers. The volunteers are great to work with. You've got people that are diehard beer drinkers here that are helping out. It's just a wonderful experience with the other breweries, seeing what the rest of the world is doing, seeing what the next new popular beer is that's coming down the pike. We just love doing it, love getting the reaction, and love hearing what everybody has to say about the beer.
So yes, Denver is all great and everything, but I would much rather be in Fort Pierce. And I'm not kidding when I say that, actually. I really, really like Fort Pierce. It's got a lot of great stuff. And one of these days I will get myself to the Highwayman Museum and see some absolutely fantastic Florida-grown, Florida-inspired art. May actually get that license plate. Anyways, Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival is back, or was back. Last year, we spoke to representatives from all 3 of the counties, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River, and obviously spoke to Pete Anderson, like I mentioned earlier. This year, because we got our free tickets, because we were staying at one of the partner hotels. That was actually one of the cool things about the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival. If you stay at one of the partner hotels and you give the special code, which is on the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail website, you actually got 2 free tickets. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, the Holiday Inn Express, which is right on Okeechobee Road in Fort Pierce, right off the turnpike, but still super, super close to 95. That is a fantastic hotel. If you need to stay, that's the place to do it. It was really, really good. But so we stayed there because we didn't really want to drive anywhere after going to the beer festival all afternoon, because it was still a fantastic event. And we spoke to one brewery from each of the representative counties to get a little bit of flavor, not only for who they are and what they brought, but also beer in their county and the festival itself. So first up, we have Derek Jerry. He is from Mash Monkeys Brewing in Sebastian, very, very close to Pareidolia in Indian River County. They were on the podcast before, but that was just Derek. His business partner, Pratt Kirshner, was not available to be at that interview when we recorded it months ago, but they were both there at the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival. In fact, they were the first booth. And so they managed to kick their kegs relatively quickly because everybody went to them first for many, many obvious reasons. So our first interview is going to be with Derek and Pat from Mash Monkeys in Indian River County. From there, we're going to be speaking with Dwayne and Chef Jesse from Side Door Brewing in St. Lucie County. And Side Door tends to show up a lot in the all around the place. They've got some amazing desserty beers. I will say the last beer event that was at Stormhouse Brewing in North Palm Beach, they actually brought Grogu cookies, which was a blueberry Jolly Rancher inspired sour, which was as blue as the candy was. And my entire contingency at that event absolutely loved it. There was a lot of fantastic love for Side Door Brewing at Treasure Coast. And what I actually liked the most is they had their root beer, standard, awesome, non-alcoholic root beer on a self-pour tap outside. So you didn't have to wait for them. And I actually got my daughter a Silpat cup, purchased it, and let her, and she just enjoyed being able to pour her own root beer. That was amazing. Trust me, I enjoyed it as well. So they're up next. Obviously, Side Door Brewing is in St. Lucie County. And then we spoke from Martin County, Fraser Creek Brewery and Distillery. They were the hot tent at the event because they were the newest tent at the event. It just opened up a few months ago. And we spoke to their founder, Etienne Bourgeois. Did not have any of the distillery side samples available because they weren't really able to do that at Summer Crush. Summer Crush can only serve beer and wine, no booze. But they did bring some of the beers available, and they had quite a long line the entire time. So we were able to sit down for a few minutes and get Etienne to give us a good rundown of everything going on there. Trust me, we're going to be getting all of them on. We're going to get Side Door and Fraser Creek on full episodes of the Florida Beer Podcast pretty soon. Obviously, Mash Monkeys, we had a great conversation with them a couple months ago. So to recap, we're going to be speaking with Derek and Pat from Mash Monkeys in Indian River County, Dwayne and Jesse from Side Door Brewing in St. Lucie County, and then Etienne from Fraser Creek in Martin County. Enjoy.
So I guess in the past 4 years since the festival has been around, and obviously longer since the Wine and Ale Trail have been around, and even longer than that since you've been around, how has craft beer on the Treasure Coast grown?
I'd say the craft beer on the Treasure Coast has grown quite well, considering when I want to say it was Pareidolia that was getting ready to open and Organ Island had already opened. Another news source had reached out and asked if we thought that there was room for more craft beer in Indian River County. And if you look at that, and plus the county south of us, it's grown even more since then, and there's still room for more. So it's grown very well, and there's enough customer base to support all of us.
And that's what I was going to say. Has the customer base really been there? Have they been receptive to different styles and receptive to craft beer that really can only be purchased at this particular location, not at Publix, not at the corner gas station, and so on?
They have. I think they like the fact that it's exclusive. They can go to just one place, and that's the only place they can get it. And also, having that many breweries close together, people like to be able to just, park one spot, walk a little bit. So it kind of works out that way.
Do you think that there's still a lot of room in Indian River County for additional breweries? Because I know obviously in Sebastian, where you're located, you are close enough to walk between you and Pareidolia, which I have done. Is there enough interest and enough room in the local economy for continued growth?
I feel like there is. I mean, there's still a lot of people moving here. Everywhere you look, there's houses being built. It's a pretty big county as well. There's not a whole lot even north of us. Like in the Palm Bay area, I know there's a couple in the works, so maybe we'll see some up that way as well.
How has the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail been for you? Has it been a positive boon in terms of getting people into the door? Maybe they wouldn't have been to Sebastian before or been to Indian River County, but all of a sudden, hey, we want to complete the trail. We want to see what's out there. We saw your name and we want to try a little bit more.
At times, yes, and it's mostly because of the breweries in the southern counties exposing them to it. But for the most part, the ones that are from our area or north find out about it from us, and then we're exposing them to everybody south. So it balances out like that.
Awesome. And the festival has been pretty good. This is the fourth year that the Wine and Ale Trail Festival has been here at Summer Crush. I would assume that it has continued to grow in the past couple of years that it has been here in terms of not just breweries, but also the number of people that are coming through.
Yeah, this is the most successful of the events that we've been coming to at this location. It started out really strong. It's been going really strong. I want to say this probably been the most people I've seen.
Awesome. And I guess the best way to determine how popular you've been is the fact that you had 4 beers on tap, and we're still a couple hours away from the event ending, and you've already kicked 3 of them, and you're down to just the porter. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't really surprise us because everything we brought was pretty crisp, refreshing. We targeted our styles to the majority of the demographic between the sour, the IPA, and the lager, the Pilsner, which is hot day. You're in the sun. That's very crisp and refreshing. And they're kick-ass, so they're going to come back for more after they see it right when they come through the gate.
Being front and center right next to these food trucks helps as well. So.
I'm still amazed that sours hit as well as they do in the area that we are. I figured that this would be Pilsner country, and yet the elderberry sour that you had, which I've had today, which is phenomenal, is gone. Is this really kind of a sour location that not too many people realize is up for sours and things like that?
I think it really depends. I mean, a lot of our sours are pretty mild, not really going to turn your face inside out when you take a swig of them, especially on a hot day. Something's just a little tart, crisp. It's almost like drinking a lemonade.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, they're very approachable, nicely balanced, not overly heavy in one way or the other. So your palate is more accepting of it, and you kind of actually want to come back for more as opposed to like, oh, that was a good taster. Next.
Interesting. Now, the interesting thing about the trail is that it's not just an ale trail, which pretty much everybody else has, but it also incorporates the wineries that we are clearly in right now. And we've up to 3 distilleries on the trail and a meadery, and I think a couple more of everything is really coming in the future. How do you feel about that sort of difference in the number of businesses? Yes, they are all fermented, obviously, but they're very different products, very different source ingredients, and so on. Is that sort of a rising tide that floats all boats, or how do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I mean, I think having distilleries around as well as the wineries, I mean, it gives us breweries a chance to maybe get some barrels from these guys. I mean, wine barrels for sours maybe, or even a stout. I mean, easily accessible.
Yeah, this is good for all concerned, honestly, because, well, if you're going to have a fleet, you're not going to have just one type of ship, are you? No, you're going to have a bunch of different types of ships, so the rising tide does float all of them.
Based on the reception that you've gotten here, have you been able to formulate maybe a couple of ideas that you're going to come back with next year, or you're going to stick with what you have? What has the reception been like from the people here at the event today?
I will say that we do not plan that far ahead, so that I could safely say. A lot of times we kind of, believe it or not, we look at the weather. It's like, what's going to work out well? What are people going to want that day? Apparently we were right this time, being out of beer already. So
yeah, it's just that and an inventory thing. Like, oh, we got plenty of this, plenty of that. We've got more of it on tap or something similar on tap. So as they're heading home or coming back out tomorrow, they'll stop by and, oh, yeah, I like that. I want to get more of it. I don't think we're going to change anything up for doing different next year because, well, if it's working, it's working, right?
Nice. After an event like this, do you see a noticeable uptick in traffic to the brewery? Because, hey, I saw you at Wine and Ale Trail. Hey, I saw you at this or that or the other thing.
A lot of the people we see at this particular festival have already customers that come in pretty frequently. We might see some new ones. We've seen a few new faces today that said, asking our location, said they'd come up and see us. So we'll see.
Yeah, some other events that are further out, we don't really get as many people coming in, but there's ones that are within a proximity that would be like, oh yeah, first time I met you was at, so yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully this portal will kick pretty soon, and I'm definitely going to ask to help with that. So have a great day, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you as well.
So I will start with the question that I have been asking in terms of the craft beer industry in the Treasure Coast. How strong is it? And does that strength, however strong it is, kind of surprise you?
I think it has room for growth. I think historically it's been a Bud Light kind of community, and in some degree it's still that way. I think that has a lot to do with the Florida state distribution laws and the difficulty that we have as brewers getting beers into distribution and getting tap space. And as the industry grows, that even becomes more difficult. So is there some work to be done? Absolutely. But the fact that more and more people enjoy craft beers and is building some strength for the industry. But a real eye-opener for me, and I hate to admit this, buying some from a gas station beer fridge, a 6-pack of 2 different beers, 2 6-packs, like $25. That makes craft beer a great deal when you look at the quality of that product versus what's in there. So as a whole, I think the industry is strong. I think we've gotten a little bit stale because of we're a little bit tired of the fight, but I think that fight is increasing.
Interesting. And so in terms of space and money, there is that ability to grow, but also in terms of the interest of the population in the Treasure Coast counties, there's enough interest to where you can continue to grow as well, would you say?
Port St. Lucie, clearly the growth, but even you look at Sebastian, we're growing here so much, and different cultures are coming in and things are changing. With that said, industry-wide, there's so many things at play. When you're looking at this event today, it's just a laid back and a lot of the same people I see here that's been here for last few years, COVID aside. But the growth potential is still really huge just because of our population. And there's always room for more breweries and more brewers.
And how has the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail been in terms of getting people into the door? Are there people that would come to you, or are there people that have come to you because of the trail that wouldn't necessarily have come to St. Lucie County or Port St. Lucie at all, but because they saw the trail are like, hey, I want to complete my trail. I want to see what this side door brewing is. Who are these people?
So the inception of this trail had to do with the Treasure Coast tourism development, and they have played a big part in the success of this event. And the fact, I'm going to have a little shout out to Pareidolia and also Gary here at the winery. To my knowledge, they were kind of instrumental in putting this together. So its history, its success is a testament to them. And kudos to the tourism development for the amount of marketing they do to bring attention to this industry. And it does bring tourism in. So I don't know, Jesse, he's up in the front of the bar more than I am. I would defer to him to how many people come in doing the trail.
I would love to know that. How many people do come in because they are trying to complete the trail?
At the very least, it's 2 or 3 customers every day. Typically, people are looking to hit multiple breweries at a time. So it actually really does help to have like a central location where you've got multiple, venues that are in a close proximity that people can kind of hit in a couple hours and then maybe move on, not too far away. So it helps to have that centralized location where you have multiple venues that you can kind of hit as you kind of progress down the trail.
I was going to say, in terms of the trail geographically, you and Sailfish tend to be right in the heart. You're sort of like dead center of everything. So I feel like that kind of plays well to you.
Well, I mean, the trail is the trail. So if you're going to do one, you're going to do them all. But we're kind of in the southern end. I mean, until Ocean Republic and Fraser Creek, we were the furthest south. And we're kind of the smallest. So when if you're looking at the heart of the trail, you're probably looking between Fort Pierce and Vero. But that's the neat thing about the whole trail is it spreads people out from Sebastian to Stewart and everything in between.
And let's talk about the festival, because I was here last year and it seems to be a little bit busier than it was last year. So it seems to be continuing to grow. Have you gotten a lot of people that are interested in the beers that are, I guess, maybe more adventurous than they would have been if they were at a restaurant or a bar close to their house?
That's the whole purpose of the beer fest. I mean, so even in the instructions for this beer fest to the brewers, don't bring a flagship. You can get the flagship coming to our brewery. You can get the flagship on tap up at the beer tent at where are we?
The Summer Crush.
Summer Crush. They have some beers up there that are flagships. Bring something that's new, different, and interesting. That is the purpose of Beer Fest in general. If you're going to a beer fest that's all done by distributors and you're getting cans that are all the same beer that you can get at a grocery store, then go to a grocery store. This is a beer fest where you're going to find something that you're never going to get anywhere else. And especially for this beer fest, because this beer fest raises money to draw support for the entire industry in this area. The money raised here is used to market other parts of the state, other parts of the country, to bring people here to stay in hotels, to eat at restaurants, to come try these breweries. This is the best brew fest on the Treasure Coast.
Nice. And how has the reception today been to the beers that you've brought? Because I know I'm trying to remember which one I had today. Do you remember which one I had today?
You had the raspberry cheesecake sour. So probably one of the fruit breweries actually has like 2 sour beers on tap. And my philosophy has always been try to wow them with color and flavor and uniqueness. Something that, they're going to pass off to a friend and tell them, hey, go to that tent, get that beer. And it kind of, spreads the word around that, hey, they got something that's unique and different from other breweries.
Awesome. And I guess the reception has been pretty good today?
Yeah. It's been really positive. A lot of people asking about if the beer that we have is on tap. And typically we do try to bring stuff that we do have available in the tap room.
And with a festival, especially with this one, how long after the event is over do you get a lot of people coming in saying, hey, I saw you at Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail, and I wanted to come by and visit?
It's a give and take. So our customers that come in that have never been here, they'll show up. And then people that have never been to our brewery will show up here. Next thing you know, they're showing up at the brewery. So it's a good mix. But it's hard to really quantify what's the benefit of a brew fest. It's a much broader benefit than just any individual brewery.
So it seems like not just the ale trail and the festival, but the craft beer industry in the Treasure Coast area is going to continue to be strong, it sounds like.
That's the goal. Keep this industry strong. And what's interesting and that I've found, a strong beer industry in any certain area relates to a strong homebrew community. So, man, I tell you, I would invite anybody to pick up. If you want a good hobby, learn how to homebrew. It's technical, it's rewarding, and man, you get to drink what you make.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad Jesse was here to help.
Thank you, David.
So I guess this is technically the first Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail that you've attended being open, correct?
That's absolutely correct. We're so happy to be here. It's been a great day. The weather's beautiful. It's a little soggy here, but everybody's been having a great time. We've had a line all day. The response to our brewery has been tremendous. We couldn't have asked for more.
I was going to say that you literally have had the biggest line all day. I know some other breweries are walk up, and a few have even kicked already, and yet you still have the line that you have had since we got here at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and you still have the beers that you are still pouring. I guess it's got to make you feel good.
Well, it's part of the goal, right? Never run out of beer. Always have something for the people. When everybody else is kicked, you know that every one of these folks is going to come and visit your tent, try your stuff. And like I said, the response has been awesome. We've had several people come up, tell us that we were at our favorite brewery today. And we really didn't bring anything gimmicky. We brought a session IPA, we brought our Belgian triple, and we brought our pumpkin beer, because, hey, it's pumpkin season.
Absolutely. And I guess that boils down to the Treasure Coast as a whole when it comes to craft beer. Do you kind of feel that an event like this really sort of shows how much the Treasure Coast is in terms of a place for continuing to ferment, no pun intended, and maintain craft breweries?
Yes, absolutely. Just opening this past year, we opened in May, and we kicked this whole idea off in 2021. Obviously, we've seen a decline nationwide in breweries. In the Treasure Coast, that hasn't happened. We've been undersaturated for a number of years, and there's still room for more breweries. I would love to see more breweries in Stewart. This is a great thing. The Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail it's managed by the 3 counties on the Treasure Coast, Indian River, St. Lucie, and Martin County. Their tourism boards do a tremendous job. They give us tons of support. Even simple things like providing coasters. People don't realize how much coasters cost, and you have to order 5,000 at a time. So when you're opening a brewery and it's like, oh, we've got to spend $500 on 5,000 coasters. Well, that kind of hurts. So
I was actually going to ask the question in terms of the Wine and Ale Trail. How much did you rely on them on getting the word out about who you were, where you were, now that you've opened, when you opened?
So we didn't necessarily rely on them, but we certainly took advantage of the offerings that they had. They have weekly newsletters to go out. Everybody should be on that weekly newsletter, even people out of town, because you never know when you might be traveling through and be able to take advantage of that. The Wine and Ale Trail itself is pretty cool. Every one of the partnering breweries, wineries, and now distilleries, I think spirits is going to get worked into the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail. So now that there's 3 distilleries, Fraser Creek being one of them, but we all have the glassware that you get when you complete the entire Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail and get all the stamps. So it's really cool how they break it up, and you don't have to send anything in to get your prize. It's given to you right at the last stop. So it's really cool what they do. They're here to help all of us. They understand the benefit of beer, and it's a great thing.
Awesome. Have you gotten a number of people that have come in based on the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail, saying that, oh, hey, we're on there, we're trying to complete this? Who are you, and what kind of stuff do you have?
Every week we have new people come in that they're following the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail. So, they're trying to get that glass, and, they're just fans. So, that's what we need. We need more people to recognize the craft and what we do, and how, we're not big beer. We take pride in what we do, And I think people appreciate that. And the Wine and Ale Trail is certainly helping produce more awareness of the craft beer and wine industry.
Have you gotten, obviously the line sort of speaks for itself, but has the reception from the people that have come here and come back, I guess, during today's event, how has that been?
It's been great. You know, I want to say maybe 10% of the people that we've seen today are people that have been customers of Fraser Creek. So with 90% of the people that are trying our beer today being brand new people, many of which didn't even know about us, it's fantastic. You know, I couldn't ask for more. And, you know, we're only 40 miles away from here. So we're still in these folks' backyard, and that's important.
That's amazing. Can't wait to go visit. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
So there we go. Next year, when the Treasure Coast Wine and Ale Trail Festival comes back, I behoove you, get your tickets, or even better, get that hotel room so you can get the tickets. Hopefully that deal will still be available next year, because that was absolutely fantastic. You don't have to worry about driving home. And if you pick the right location, like the Holiday Inn where we stayed, you get free hot breakfast in the morning. You really can't beat that. Next week, we are heading back to Gainesville, where we are going to be spending a couple of episodes. We've got some really good stuff coming up, and I am excited to be, I mean, it was Gator Country, so there's that. But I was excited to be able to sit down and talk to some breweries that we have never spoken to before. So that'll be awesome coming up next week. And if you want to find out when those episodes drop, the best thing for you to do is to follow us on social media. And you can do that at Florida Beer Blog. Let me try that again. And you can do that at Florida Beer Blog on Instagram, Threads, and X Twitter, or Twitter X, or whatever everybody calls it. We're still FL Beer Blog on Facebook. We're on the internet at floridabeerblog.com and floridabeerpodcast.com. And you can email us, floridabeerblog@gmail.com. Make sure that if you are listening to us on the podcasting app of your choice, and we're available everywhere. We're on iHeartRadio, and we're on Apple Music, and we're on Spotify, and we're even on YouTube. Make sure to like us, follow, subscribe, and leave a big review. That way we can start and continue our mission of telling everybody about how awesome craft beer in the state of Florida is. Our intro announcer is Jeff Brozovich. Field producer is Steve Pekala. Executive producer for the Florida Podcast Network, of which we are a very proud partner of. And Grand High Poobah is Jemmy Legagneur. This is David Butler, your host and author. We will see you next week in Alachua County. Thank you so much for listening, and drink Florida Craft.